There are three different types of Hobbit, and about 2,000 years prior to the Lord of the Rings, they all appeared in the Vales of the Anduin, or in around that area. I did actually have a question on this in one of my comment sections of previous videos, so I thought let's talk about the Hobbits. Okay, so the first clan that we're going to be talking about are the Fallohides. They are the leaders, they are the intellectuals, and perhaps the most widely known about Hobbits, and we'll get to that as to why that is very shortly. But first then, hello and welcome to the channel. This is Gone with Gandalf, and every single Friday I do these lore videos. So if you like these kinds of things, then do please subscribe, do like the video, because it just makes me feel good inside, and I then want to make more of them, okay? So let's get on with the video. The Fallohides then, they originally lived in the southern eaves of the forest known as Mirkwood, and this was fine until, 1050 of the Third Age, because Sauron came into Dol Guldur. There was a bit of a shadow in that area. They sensed that, and then they fled over the river and went into the northern Vales of the Anduin instead and dwelt there. They were taller than the other two clans of the Hobbits. Tall is a bit of a vague term, but reaching up to 4 feet tall, so 120 centimetres in metric units. They additionally were quite fair in both skin and hair and could grow no beard, so I feel like I can relate to all of this up until until now. They were more accustomed to hunting rather than farming, and then due to this, then they were more inquisitive and led to them being a bit more bold in their nature and outlook. They had more skill in speech and song, and they preferred to live in woodlands, and because of this, then they also had a better outlook against neighbours in their world, and they had really good relations with elves, which is quite interesting. So they were most akin to elves of the three clans of the Hobbits, and we'll get to the other clans next week, but they also have similarities with other races. Now that boldness I was talking about earlier, that really held good, because in 1150, 100 years after they left their previous residences in the southern reaches of the Forest of Mirkwood, they then also left the northern Vales of Anduin and went over the Misty Mountains, over where the High passes, just north of Rivendell, and then eventually would make their way via Weathertop to meet another clan of the Hobbits, and then get to Bree. And they made it there in the year 1300, so they had a bit of a wandering period of 150 years or so. This is also why you have some hobbits in Bree and in Staddle that you kind of encountered during the Lord of the Rings, when you had Frodo and co. They go to the Prancing Pony and they're like, oh, do you want some hobbit beds? And they were like, no, okay, we'll be fine. We don't want to get stabbed in our sleep. And then also, during this period, when they met with the other clan of hobbits on the road, they then became the leaders because they were bolder and they had much, they perhaps were better at inspiring the thoughts and deeds of their followers, who knows. But anyway, in the year 1601 of the Third Age, so again a few hundred years have passed, this is when the brothers Marcho and Blanco crossed the river Brandywine and went into the Shire. And this is when the Shire was founded, and you get the beginning of the Shire reckoning, the Shire calendar. So that all began in the year 1601, Shire reckoning, year 1. Marcho and Blanco were of course Fallohides, but most of their followers were not. However, because of the fact that they were generally the leaders, Fallohides as a whole, despite all the clans kind of merging over the several centuries up until the late Third Age, where we pick up the story again with the stories of the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, most families still had strong Fallohide lines. So families such as the Tooks, the Brandybucks, the Bolgers, they all had strong Fallohide hobbits at their helm. So if we look at examples that we all know of, you've got Merry, Brandybuck, and he's a Fallohide. Notice how none of them have any facial hair, and they're all quite tall. Then you've got Frodo Baggins, of course. He is the actual cousin of both, everyone, Merry, Pippin, Bilbo, and they are all descended of Tooks or Brandybucks. So they are all Fallohides. Oh, and it's just started raining. Oh, whatever, we'll just keep on rolling with it, and but I'll put up some family trees on there so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, how they all kind of mingle together. Now, of course, just on the height issue, of course, Merry and Pippin were far taller than everyone else because they had, had some of the Ent draft, so that's that. So that is it for the Fallohides, just as the rain starts to fall on the roof of my conservatory. But next time I will be speaking of the other two clans and giving them a brief backstory as well. Giving these nice little short lore video type things, I mean, obviously. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Do put any things in the comments, any suggestions. I will look into those as well. But for now, thank you very much for watching. And I'm going with Gandalf. Good day.